Today's episode is, it happened straight after I was able to take my kids to the Wiggles concert. I sat down with Anthony. I've known Anthony for a little while. He is one of the most gentle, kind, he's just a ripping human. I shot him a note and wondered whether or not I could catch up with him in between shows. He was so generous with his time. They only had about 45 minutes and they had to go from show 1 to show 2, and they were able to... It's so funny. You'd think that when they get off stage it would be like, I'm going to lie down, but there Anthony is straight after he entertained 500 screaming kids and their parents. He's there with his banjo and the backup guitar, Ollie. And we sat down for a yarn, and halfway through, what do you know, in comes Lockie and Emma. Simon was off for the day. Simon was crook, the Red Wiggles. So this is 4-5 people sitting in a room with 2 microphones, just having a yarn. And it means the sound's a bit off. We're passing microphones between people. Anthony does jump into music and out of music, and you can tell that he just lives and breathes creating this sound that he gets to do. And look, I just loved it. It was the first time that I had taken my kids to see a Wiggles concert, and the joy and the just absolute, I guess, I don't know, the best of humanity was right there on stage, and the way that the kids respond, it's just a beautiful thing to see, and how generous they are with their time. It was a real thing. It was a real spectacle to be a part of, and you know, grateful that I got to spend those few minutes. And well, here we go. Mate, I thought I got the Wiggles until I actually saw you guys live just then, and I understood I didn't get the Wiggles. The Wiggles are awesome.
Yeah.
And live, the show that you perform, it's like it's targeted towards everyone, and you had all the parents kind of buying into every part of it as well, and the joy that you gave everyone in that room, it's off the hook. Do you still feel it? Like,
yeah, I think, you know what, mate, you go out there to do a show, and I've been doing it now for nearly 30 years, and I don't think there's a better audience, because parents are excited, their children, maybe for the first time, are seeing a show. Parents are excited, the children are excited because they're seeing the Wiggles, or it might be the first time they've been in a room with that many other children, or the lights, or there's so many firsts going on. And for us, it's always different in the audience. There's always this beautiful energy. It's such a positive experience. Everyone's out there to have a good time, so we just have a good time. That's why I'm still doing it. I love it. And, you know, children out there just having the best time, and they're so spontaneous. And the parents are at the best too, because they're watching their children have a good time.
yeah, mate, you live and breathe the guitar. Or the banjo. Do you want to start us off with something?
Oh, yeah. What do you reckon? We just play a little... Yeah, and Ollie's here, the guitarist. So
Yeah.
What do we play? Oh.
How much out there is impromptu on the stage? Impromptu, just love of what you
Well,
do.
I'll leave it to Ollie there. What do you reckon, mate? Ollie's our guitar player,
Yeah.
and he's been with us for how many years now, mate?
2 years.
2 years,
2 years.
and he's such a great guitar player. But you'll have to speak up, Ol.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jump
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'd say a fair bit of it's impromptu.
Today was a lot of improv.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the set list was because Simon was away
Okay, yeah.
with a throat infection, so I didn't know what to do and what not to do. Did you get that feeling, Ollie?
Yeah, and like musically as well. You know, we try and change up things. You know, in the songs. That's the best part about playing everything live.
Yeah.
Is great. We changed it up musically, but yeah, the jokes, the order,
So
everything.
you just hold on.
Yeah, just hold on for dear life and enjoy the ride. Yeah.
Right, mate, do you want the
Mate, the is it the Wiggles for me are one of our biggest exports. They're everywhere, and And in the States, in Europe, when you're over there, do you feel like you are bringing a part of Australia, or are you now just you're from everywhere?
Well, it's funny. We've when we first went to America and we were on the Disney Channel, they wanted to subtitle us.
Yeah.
They wanted to put subtitles with our accents, or they advised us to change and say a few words, and we didn't. And it became part of the charm, the Australian accent, the Australian colloquialisms. I can't even say it, but slang, we use. When we go to Canada, it's like a second home now. We've been there so many times, but they do know we're Aussies, and they love that we are Aussies.
Yeah.
The States is the same. No, I always feel like we're taking a bit of Australia there, because we wouldn't be who we are if we didn't grow up here. That Australian down to earth humour.
And is that what it is to be an Aussie? What is it to you to be an Australian?
Look, my idea of Australia is I love the fair go philosophy. Where that Advanced Australia Fair, like I'm more of a waltzing Matilda guy, but the words of that are, I'm paraphrasing, with open arms, the shores are open for people. So I'd love Australia to be all about inclusion, all about different abilities, celebrating differences, celebrating what we have the same, celebrate what we've got different with the other people. I like Australia. Australia usually doesn't have a big head about itself, and we can't. We're only a little small.
Yeah.
But I love it about that,
Anthony, you've been a Wiggle for 30 years. There must have been some bloody hard times touring, and there must have been... I was an athlete for 25 years, and I loved it. But there were times that were a drag to get out of bed. What gets you through those times to continue being here?
Yeah, I'm pretty... Look, I don't want to speak for you, Kurt, but I'm pretty sure when the starting pistol went, you were right into it.
I'm good.
Yeah. So say with me, when the show starts, I'm loving life. But occasionally, and I'm sure Ollie's seen it, he's only been here for 2 years, but there are days when I come in and I tell everyone I'm not too good today, because I have some, prone to depression, and that's hard, but it's really good when you've got a bunch of people around you that are supportive.
Yeah.
And these guys, this current bunch of wiggly people for the last 7 years are so... It's like a family, it's great. So, mate, that gets me out of bed,
Yeah. Is there any internal stuff that you use to centre yourself after you've done 300 shows in 10 months? Do you meditate, or do you watch something that chills you out?
No, mate, I'll tell you, the guys will tell you it's banjo and bagpipes.
Is it?
Well, I can play bagpipes for 2 hours at a time. Banjo, like a tenor banjo, it's... music just settles me down, man. It's just...
When you want to grab your banjo right now, you pick it up, it's the first time of a morning, what do you play?
And Ollie's always around, so we might do a little one like... Chilled out, mate.
Ollie, you've been going with the Wiggles 4 years. What was the first phone call like when they said, yeah, you're coming on tour?
Mate, you got to hear the story how we met Ollie. You got to hold that mic.
Okay, yeah. So I actually... Oh, g'day, guys.
Lockie and Emma have just joined us. Keep going.
Yeah,
with the story,
yeah.
Don't just look at Lockie and Emma.
So I moved up to Sydney, and I started teaching music, and I just happened to start at a school that Anthony had his children at, and I was teaching them drums actually, and then electronic music on the computer and stuff. And then Anthony found out and invited me in on an
The
album.
reason was, after my little boy and my little daughter would have their drum lesson or whatever, Ollie'd come out with this big smile and go through in great detail what had happened. I could see the passion he had for it. And in my head I was going, he's a bit of a fruitcake, but I like him. And somehow or other, I said, I'll come home and play. You want to do some electronic drums? Which he never did. He's just been, then I found out he's a guitar player. And he's been with us ever since, and it's been absolutely fantastic. The guy's a positive. Again, you've got to surround yourself with positive people, and Ollie's brought such a great, fresh energy to the Wiggles. And he's a great guitar player. Everyone thinks that I'm getting him ready to take over from me. But maybe I am. I don't know.
Is that an exclusive?
Yeah, there's the exclusive. Kurt's got the exclusive, mate.
I'm going to grab this one, and thanks for joining us. Emma and Lockie, how you doing? I've been chatting to people for the last 6 months about what it is to be an Aussie, and how they became who they became, really. Lockie, what was that phone call like when you must have auditioned? Everyone wanted to be a Wiggle at some point, right? What was the phone call when you got?
We were actually together at the Enmore Theatre backstage. We were Wiggly dancers with the original guys.
Oh, so it was like an apprenticeship.
It was without even knowing, because we had no idea. No one knew within the group that the guys were going to retire. Yeah. Anthony brought Emma in first. You tell your.
Well, Anthony had told me about. He actually. He took me backstage and he explained that the original Wiggles, the whole original lineup, Greg, Jeff and Murray, who we'd been touring with for the last year, were going to retire at the end of the year. And I think I was quite disappointed initially, because I thought, I've only just arrived here as a Wiggly dancer and I wanted to keep working with the company. And I felt that he was about to tell me that my job was going to be no longer at the end of the year. But then he said, but we're actually starting a new lineup of Wiggles. And I got so excited and I thought, oh, well, it's going to be Simon, right? Because I knew that Simon had filled in before and he'd been around for a long time, and I got really excited. And then I couldn't think of any other boys on the tour. I know that Lockie was my best friend at the time, and I had no even thought about Lockie being chosen. He said, well, we're choosing Lockie as the purple Wiggle. And I was like, wow, this is so exciting. He said, I wanted to tell you so that we can go and tell him together.
So
and
that's
Anthony, yeah. And I said, no, it's your news. You can go and tell him. I'm just excited for him. And I said, well, what about the other spot? Are you going to have to audition for that role? He said, no, I want to offer it to you. And I said, oh, yeah, that's funny. That's a funny joke. He said, no, I'm serious. We want to bring in a female to the group. And at that point, I was quite shocked. I think I was quite taken aback, and I didn't know how to take it at all. And then Anthony and I went into the dressing room to find Lockie, and then we told Lockie.
Wait, so what did that conversation go like? Were you thinking that it might go your way, or were you cautious that the whole thing's going to fall apart and no more Wiggles?
No, I think the initial reaction was just so many thoughts, that the legacy that they'd had for 21 years and everything that meant, from singing, do I have to sing like Greg, and I'm purple, so do we do the Wake Up Jeff / Wake? It's just all those things, but more just doing the best job that we could to.
And mate, I've got to tell you that the first time we did a show together, I think it was up at Dreamworld, and I looked over at Lockie and we're doing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, and he's crying. And
your first show as the
Purple Wiggle, he was crying, and I was going, hang on, that's good or bad?
That's awesome.
No, it was really great.
Yeah.
Because what he was crying for was because he was in this incredible job, and he could see that.
Yeah.
By the way, I auditioned not for the Wiggles, but for Play School.
You did?
I did.
Oh, that's right.
And I didn't get it. But I was a preschool teacher, and I went and sang. And I'm the first to tell you, I can't sing for you know what. And I got through the audition to the next year because I was a teacher. I knew how to speak. They said, the lady who was running it said, look, there was Henrietta Clark, who was, she said, you've got all of it except the voice, you're going to not. And I went, no, thanks, Henrietta, I understand that. Anyway, I went back to my preschool teaching, and I went, but if I get some dudes together and I don't have to sing, I can have my own play school.
Yeah.
You're not my own play school, but it was never like an economic thing. It was just like, we can have some fun doing it. So that's how my job, but I didn't get a phone call.
Yeah.
We didn't get a phone call either.
And where did the signing come from? Because the signing from a performer is something that I've never seen. I've seen you do it on shows, on telly, but how?
I just happened to grow up with a deaf family,
Yeah.
so they happened to be really good friends of my mum, and she had 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl, and the girl was my age, and her 2 younger brothers were both born deaf. And so we just happened to be really good family friends with them, and would go over to their house and play hide and seek and bash on the floor so they could hear when we were coming. And I think just getting to know the boys, we just felt like they were part of our family. I ended up going to their school to do a few workshops with their sister. They would try and have classes with the families to come and learn sign language so that hearing parents and hearing siblings could be able to communicate with deaf children if they were at a signing school. So that's kind of where it started, and I was friends with them still up until this day. And I think I just loved the fact that it was like a dance with your hands, and I just seemed to gravitate towards it and pick up the nuances of the hand shapes. And then through high school I did a few courses, but now on the road, on the tour, I can never do any of my proper certificates because I don't pass any class participation because I'm never physically at the class.
Okay.
But I'm very involved with the deaf community and have heaps of friends, and I'm really lucky to be included in the deaf community without being able to sign fluently, but I can have a pretty good conversation and
It's a
and get on
wild
with it.
community.
It's amazing.
I love interacting with it. It's
Yeah.
so not Brazilian. It's so just brash and
It is.
raw and
You're so right. I think, and the way that their language is structured and the way they talk to you,
Yeah.
something that you notice is that if you put on a lot of weight, they'll just tell you because
Yeah,
that's what they
will.
notice.
I am-
Because they're about their eyesight. They notice everything that's happening with you. Oh, you look really tired. They'll just
Yeah.
tell you straight away. Oh, you look like you put on weight.
Yeah.
Straight. That's one of the first things they say to you.
Yeah, so I got my sign name is Drinking. So I met the first guy I met that was deaf. I had about probably 20 too many beers with him, and forever now I'm.
And so
I'm
now
Kurt.
you're Kurt with the drinking sign.
Drinking
Well, that's
sign.
brilliant. I didn't know you had a sign name.
Well, that's the kind of one that stuck.
Well, that's.
unfortunately.
I think that happens to a lot of people, and when they get stuck with it, they hope that maybe over a few decades that maybe their family might change it.
Yeah, and
even
they
though
can.
they can.
Yeah.
They have license to change it in some sort of way. But my sign, which I can't do with 2 hands holding the microphone, is that with 2 hands. But with 1 hand, it means crazy,
Oh,
busy.
really?
And because
Busy.
I'm so busy all the time, I have to have 2 hands. So that's Emma.
Yeah.
But my sign name for Wiggles is Emma with the
Okay.
bow. So I'm
Yeah, okay.
lucky I get 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lockie, when now you've been here 7 years, is it your Wiggles? Do you feel like you own it now?
It's very much our Wiggles. We do. It's become, the children now have absolutely no idea who Murray and Jeff and Greg are, and that's a great thing because they connect with us. And now that we've got so many TV series, so many CDs and DVDs under our belts, and we walk out on stage now with a confidence, but also just a security in ourselves that we know what we're doing, and we're obviously always improving, but it's just something. It's such a nice feeling as a performer to know how far we've come through. From our first show at Dreamworld was it was very, very nerve-wracking and just very inexperienced, but with the help of Anthony, you can't get a better teacher.
How many curveballs does he throw you? 'Cause
every single day, constantly is another song. Lockie sing this on the spot, Emma do this, but it's what makes it. We do about 400 shows a year. If that was the same show every day, you would get. It would be incredibly hard to keep.
Where was home for you? And when you travel abroad as a Wiggle now, do you see that you're representing a country, or do you see that there's something uniquely different about what you do as an Australian Wiggle compared to all of the other competitors or co-workers around the world?
Absolutely. I'm from Brisbane originally. But we see that overseas all the time. There's just something. uniquely Australian about the group, obviously, but when you really realise that when you're in places like Canada and America, where they just love it, and I don't know if it's the mateship or if the accent too helps, but there's just something so natural and so open about the Wiggles, and I think that's why the success has been like it has, because they started as teachers. All they wanted to do was interact with the children and get them involved, rather than just getting up there and just doing a show and not worrying about who was going to react or what. It came from an original core message, and I think that's why people like the Americans just loved it, because it was so different to what they were getting on their own TV, and there was just like these four guys who are so authentic and so Australian. That's what we love going overseas, is that we can give that to people.
Yeah. Emma, I still think the Wiggles are the biggest export of the country. Thanks, Anthony.
He's loving the music.
What does it feel like to you, or what is it to you to be an Australian when you're running around the world now?
I think, for me in particular, I grew up watching the Wiggles too, and that was definitely part of my Australian childhood and learning Australian songs. And I just remember that vibe and going to the concerts and seeing Anthony, even though I think that the Anthony I see now is different to the Anthony that I remember as a child. It's two different people for me. But I think it is really quite exciting to be able to carry on this tradition of the music, like what Lockie said. And the show is... It's not over the top Australian, but it has a relaxed vibe to it, which makes it quite Australian in its mood. And I think it's really nice to be able to perform that in that kind of way across the world. It's definitely not how Lockie or I or Simon were trained. We all trained in different areas. The boys are amazing singers, and I think as a when you go to performing arts and when you're training in that style, it's very rigid. And what Lockie was saying about it, Anthony throwing curveballs and the spontaneity of the show, I think that sense and the humour that we get out of that is particularly Australian.
It's definitely a show that's targeted towards everyone.
Yes, yeah.
I love that. That was awesome.
I think Anthony is a genius with that, though, especially with the parents, because he can throw those curveballs and they can see that we go, yeah. And I think it's that call and response, the action and the responding to it. They can see in our eyes straight away that we haven't done that before. Fear. It is generally fear all the time. But it, and I think that's what makes the parents, they feel like then they relate to Anthony. They're like, oh, okay, he's taking the new kids for a ride.
Yeah. When 7 years in, when you rock up at a show and you bug it, it's show 240, and you need to get into the feel of it. Do you use any technique? Do you grab hold of something? Do you listen to anything? What do you do to kind of pull the best out of yourself?
I think that's when Anthony throws the most curveballs, because he can see that people are starting to get, especially when we're doing 4 shows a day. In Melbourne, we get to that 4th show, and that's usually when the show changes. And that, in a way, we kind of all know instinctively that something's going to happen, and that's what keeps you on your toes for that last show. But generally, the last show is always quite a nice show. It's usually the 3rd show, knowing that that's not the last show, is the one that's, you struggle through in terms of physically.
Yeah, it's kilometre 25 through to 35.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the worst.
That's right.
Anthony?
Yeah.
What if there's anything now, and you can be as literal or as specific, what would keep you up at night? What worries you?
Lots of things. Because I have anxiety, so I worry about everything. When I'm on a plane, I think the plane's going to fall down.
What do you do then? How do you get through that hour, the 12 hours?
It's terrible, man. It's a bit of a torture. But no, I suffer from anxiety, so I don't sleep much.
Yeah.
So that's literally what I do.
Have you tried? Have you? So I'm a terrible sleeper as well.
Yeah.
I run on a pretty quick, trying to shut my brain off at
Yeah.
night, and I did about 1,000 sleep studies because of going into training.
Yeah, right.
The comp, sleep's so important.
Yeah.
Have you ever went down any path to kind of chill the brain out and get sleep?
What I do melatonin or
Oh yeah, melatonin. You didn't do breathing. Does the guitar help you sleep, or the guitar fires you up?
No. If I play banjo for about an hour or bagpipes, no one else sleeps, but I do.
Yeah, you'd be
No, we're
next
going to be out. I don't go away. But yeah, I try melatonin. What have I done lately? The magnesium.
Oh yeah.
Magnesium with dandelion flower or something, and that's been working pretty good because I also suffer from cramping at night time.
So
I get cramps.
You don't use any sort of mantras or any kind of anything to.
No, I don't. Is that?
Mate, I tried it.
No, I can't. No, and I think the worst thing.
I'm still trying to find someone that is like, yeah, I do.
Yeah, no.
No.
You guys sleeping?
Well, just
I mean-
those moments where you're feeling the most tense, or the moments that you're struggling. What can drag you out of that?
I was going to say, I think usually we actually get emails or text messages from Anthony really early in the morning, and it's generally about weather crises, house prices, traffic concerns. He's busy. He's reading things, and then he worries about the weather.
Like coming up to Newcastle today, I was going, okay, the rain. So Kempsey's usually the one that, floods. I was thinking about all the floods that can happen, and oh man, everything can go wrong in my head. And when the kids go to the Chinese restaurant, they're ready for my sermon. I give them every time. Now, when they bring out the long soup, the children's hospital is full of children who burnt their lips on it. But the guys are 14, 13 and 11 now, and they're still getting that lecture.
They've had the lectures more than Lockie and I, so we're actually fine at the moment.
But if you're open with that, then you're the melatonin.
Yeah, we always talk about, it's okay, the weather's not going to be that bad, or we'll fly a different time, or we'll try and work things out. But Anthony is just that person where he's so busily thinking about things that when he is playing, that is his relax. He kind of switches into it's like a deep state of meditation. I think for me, particularly after I had surgery last year for endometriosis, and I've been in recovery ever since. But for me, it's more being submerged in water. I have to be in a hot bath to be able to sleep properly with magnesium, and that's been the biggest help for me. And as soon as I have that, I'm totally asleep. Yeah.
Lockie sleeps all the time.
Yeah, no, we had to wake.
In the car, you just go straight to sleep.
No, I do sleep well.
We had to wake you up a few times on stage.
Yeah, you did.
You got time to listen to a folk song from Lockie?
Yeah, go for it. I'd love it.
What song do you want to do? One of the Scottish ones.
You play one and I'll...
Which one?
Look, Lemon or...
Yeah, Loch Lomond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
D. By yon bonny banks and by yon bonny braes, where the sun sets high on Loch Lomond, where me and my true love will never meet again, on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond. Ye'll tak the high road and I'll tak the low road, and I'll be in Scotland afore ye, where me and my true love will never meet again, on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond.
You can sing, my man.
Yeah.
My God. If you could create a change in Australia right now, you're voted in as emperor on your own, or you've claimed your right as emperor. If you could create one change right now, what would it be?
Look, I very much just try to get on with everybody, and that's what I would try to put in place. I know that sounds really simple, but if people are nice to each other, then that would help. That would go a long, long, long way.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say, come on, guys. We get it.
Empathy, understanding.
That's me from Lockie.
I guess, I think, especially in some of the events that have happened in the world recently, I think the biggest goal at the moment is unity across everybody. I think there's such a tendency to think that other race or religion or background or nationality that is superior to others, and I think especially Australia, we're so multicultural itself. It is a shame that we still have a sense of racism even within our own country, but I think as time goes on, the more that we're accepting of other people and the more that we can actually serve others, I think that is going to get us into a better place. But I think that needs to happen around the whole world. It can't just be Australia.
What about the guitar player, Ollie?
I think ditto.
He was asleep.
That is great backup. You are the perfect.
Well, for me, I wish we were more welcoming and understanding of refugees and people who've come from really hard places. And we've got a big country, But my biggest worry, though, for my children and everything is the climate. I really do think that the world is we're treating it like it's doesn't have any feelings, or that it can't end, but it can for us. And I think it's getting too late for that. But I think the politicians are letting us down. I'm sure there are brilliant people out there that can turn it around. It's just so funny that the politicians who are in power, or even radio, I listen to commentators on radio who say it's a total joke, it's not happening, and it doesn't seem that it's not happening, Yeah.
And what about the last one? The last question, I say it's the question of questions: monarchist or Republican?
Well, you know what? The more that life goes on, the more it doesn't really matter to me. But I've always believed Australia could stand on its own 2 feet and be a republic. That'd be great. But saying that, the monarchies, I think republic, okay. Because, I was thinking about our First Nation people. I'm sure that but I don't know, I'm thinking for myself, I'm pretty wish-washy like a lot of Australians. We go, oh, well,
Yeah.
What do you think, Kurt?
Me?
Yeah.
They've already heard what I think.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm just interested.
I think that there's a journey out there for Australia.
Yeah.
To be its own.
Yeah.
To be its own picture, not to be a smaller picture or the smaller piece of the bigger picture. And there's a sign of maturity and an understanding that the people who call Australia their place, and I think that there's a story that we can tell when we become a republic that's larger than 200 years.
Absolutely. Mate, you just convinced me. I'm there. No. Yeah, well done, Kurt. Oh, that's great, mate.
Well, we can tell the tens of thousands of years before. We can tell the thousands of years in front of it.
No, that's actually why I said First Nation people, because I was thinking, why would they relate to the monarchy?
But I do want to find somebody. Everyone keeps saying monarchy, republic. I want to find somebody who
is staunch monarchies. Yeah, I don't think.
And I think the only thing I was going to say with that was I think it is time that Australia is able to be independent, particularly for our First Nation citizens. It is amazing in the past, though, how much advice we were able to be given through the monarchy. And in that regard, I think it was good for us at that particular time to have some help along the way, and only being able for our prime ministers to have somebody to actually give them advice, like have somebody else to talk to. I think that had helped us in the past, whereas some countries that don't have that other higher power kind of they get in their own turmoil and then they dwell on their own problems, whereas I think by learning from another country has been helpful for us in the past. But I think it is time that a republic is ready for Australia.
I'm sold as well. There's just stories I think that we can tell that are
absolutely
easier to tell, that will create a bit of healing, that we can tell if and when we find our way there. But
absolutely,
again, it's a bigger conversation than this room. But, thank you.
Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you. How do you want to finish us up?
What do we do? Come on, sing a song.
No, it's over to you.
Being what we talked about, let's do the garden song, because this is exactly what I'm talking about. Doesn't get much more simple than planting a garden with your friends and family and growing your... Yeah, just do it in whatever key. This is what I'd sing to people, Kurt.
I'll take the backing too.
We'll go straight into the chorus.
Hide yourself.
Okay. I'd sing this. Inch by inch, row by row, I'm gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down.
Sing it like you sing it, man.
Pulling weeds and picking stones, man is made of dreams and bones. Feel the need to grow my own, 'cause the time is close at hand. Grain for grain, sun and rain, find my way in nature's chain. Tune my body and my brain to the music of the land. And inch by inch, row by row, I'm gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down.
That's awesome! I got to sing kind of with the Wiggles. Well, again, grateful that I got to see what you do, and from a fresh eyes, what you do was pretty special. So, thanks guys.
Thanks very much, Kurt. You too.
Beauty, mate.
I hope you enjoyed that chat. There is plenty more where that came from. Jump onto iTunes or wherever you get your podcast from and take a listen. Then tell all your friends about what I'm doing.